Hi and welcome to this short video where I'm just going to talk you through what is a deed of trust in property and when would I use it, okay? You know, the solicitors love these grand words, or maybe they don't, but these grand words are throughout law and everywhere else, so we get confused. A deed of trust, bottom line, is a 2-page A4 document, very simply written. Once you've seen a couple, you'll be able to write your own, but don't do that to start with, use a solicitor. But it's used to split the profits between you and a spouse or you and a business partner to be as tax effective as possible. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Well, we know that, or you may know, that if you earn less than $50,000 a year by 2021, you won't be in that higher tax bracket. So let's take a couple as an example. And in the couple, one of the spouses works and earns $50,000 a year. The other is a homemaker looking after the family and the home. And let's say they're earning nothing. But they're going to invest and buy some investment properties. Now, if they buy an investment property together and buy it jointly, 50% of the profits will go on one person's tax return and 50% on the others. That will tip the person that's earning $50,000 a year over into 40% tax threshold, whilst the person that's the homemaker will just start to have some money on their tax return. Now, if you're smart, if that person that's the homemaker is going to stay the homemaker for the next 15 years and is going to have a lesser income for the next 15 years, you can use what's called a deed of trust. A deed of trust is where you say, do you know what? This house we're buying jointly, so you still buy it jointly, but this house we're buying jointly, we want to allocate the profits a certain way. So you might allocate the profits and say, well, we're going to put 1% of the profits in the person who earns 50,000's name and 99% of the profits in the other person's name, the homemaker's name. What that means is if that property makes £10,000 a year for easy numbers, then 9,900 of the income and the profit goes on the homemaker's tax return and only £100 of it goes on the person that's earning 50,000. You can set it up 70-30, you can set it up 60-40, you can set it up 80-20, you can set it up how you want. But once you've set that up, you're being tax efficient because that 9,900 in that example, you're not going to pay any tax on because it's their first 9,900 and the £100 you're going to pay 40% tax on. You've just saved yourself £2,000 a year in tax by using a deed of trust and setting it up correctly. Okay. Now, when you use this deed of trust, the solicitor, as you purchase the property, you put the deed of trust in place. It should not cost you more than £150 plus VAT to get them to draft it. As I say, once you've done that a couple of times, you'll see it's a simple document. You might draft your own. Okay? As well as setting up the deed of trust, you need to just tell the Inland Revenue what you've done. So it's called Form 17. If you ask the HMRC for Form 17, you can just let them know that you've bought that property, but you've set it up 99-1 in that example. Now, just a couple of caveats and a couple of warnings. Once you've bought a property and set up the deed of trust, the odds are you're going to need to keep that deed of trust in place forever on that property. So if the homemaker is actually only at home for another 3 years and then they're going to go back to work and they'll be earning 50,000 as well, you've now got it split, set up 99-1. It's 99-1 forever. Okay? So when you come to sell the house, if you're going to sell it, I recommend to never sell your investment properties, but if you're going to sell it, the capital gain that is made is 99% this person's, 1% this person's. So you need to be aware of the longer term game and the longer term impact as well as the short term. But as a basic principle, if the incomes are going to stay roughly where they are for 10, 15 years, and if you're probably never going to sell it, then you want to be using a deed of trust to allocate profits accordingly. Okay. Now people say, well, can I change it later? You can change it later, but what in effect you're doing, if you change it later, the government, understandably, HMRC will say, well, do you know what? If you're going back to 50-50, this person has sold 49% of the property to this person. It might be your spouse or partner, but you're selling it because they're getting another 49 and you might be paying nothing for it. But they say, if you're selling it, we need to work out what it's worth at the moment and pay any capital gains tax on that because you've sold it and made a profit. And on this side, you need to pay stamp duty because you're buying something. So that's why it's very unlikely that you'll change a deed of trust and you'll change the percentages later. So that's why you need to be sure that setting up the percentages in that way works well for you. But if it does work well for you, if you're buying 5 properties and you're on 50,000 and your spouse is on 0, and you buy 5 properties or 10 properties, let's say, that are worth, 5,000 a year on that tax return, then that person's up to 50,000 a year. You've got 10 properties and you've got it all at basic rate tax. Okay. And if each of those properties is saving you 1,000 a year, then now that's £10,000 of tax saved, £10,000 of tax savings, by setting things up properly for the next 20 years. You've just saved £200,000 of tax, for example. So the deed of trust is incredibly powerful. Speak to your accountant or speak to your solicitor to understand it more, but make sure they're a property tax specialist if it's your accountant, or a property specialist, an investment property specialist if it's your solicitor. Okay? Otherwise, reach out to my team and they'll help explain it to you in some more detail as well. You can reach out to them by emailing info@propertyinsight.info. Okay. I do have a fuller tax webinar, which takes about an hour and a quarter, but covers all of the tax changes in far more detail. So clause 24, interest rate relief changes, covers stamp duty changes, covers all the tax stuff that's going on at the moment. So there's a link just down below that you can click on and go watch that if you want some more detail. In the meantime, invest with knowledge, invest with confidence, create financial freedom. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you. Hi guys, it's Aaron here. Did you enjoy this week's video? If so, there are 3 things you can do to continue your property investing journey. The first is you can click here and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really hope you do, because then each week I can keep sending you great educational videos just like this one, so you can keep developing your property knowledge. Secondly, you can click the link here and get a free copy of my book, The Property Coach, where I teach the 9 steps to really truly successfully building a property portfolio. The third thing you can do is click here and go to my website, www.arancurry.co.uk. And there you can subscribe for free to my newsletter. And what that means is you'll get loads of free educational content in lots of different forms. And also any of our promotions or offers that we run are also there on the website and also in those e-newsletters. Again, helping you move forward with your property investing journey. So if you want to take action, just click any of these 3 boxes or all 3 and move forward to the next level. And in the meantime, invest with knowledge, invest with confidence, create financial freedom. Thank you.